Welcome to Sports Management Podcast, where you will hear interesting sports management professionals share their stories, experiences, and passion for the sports management industry. I am your host, Marcus Philipsson. Today's guest is Dr. Makis Asimakopoulos. He has over 25 years of experience from the sports management industry, both in Greece and internationally. He served as the sports director during the Athens 2004 Olympic and Paralympic Games, and since 2006 he is the general manager of Athens Marathon, the Authentic. Dr. Asimakopoulos and I were talking about the importance of education, his experiences from his time in the United States, and how he has been able to organize the 2020 Athens Marathon this year. Dr. Asimakopoulos, welcome to Sports Management Podcast. You are the general manager of Athens Marathon, the Authentic. Could you tell us a little bit what this role includes?
It includes in leading one of the major international mass participation events in running, a historic event, a huge event in terms of organization. It includes 60,000 runners in all races, and in terms of personnel, 4,000 volunteers, along with the paid staff, and a number of employees by local communities and everything. And policemen and the health staff altogether could be more than 5,000 people. So in terms of putting the organization together, so I have to lead this staff in terms of operations, plus all major issues that they have to do with the daily communication and all the communication with the runners.
And for how long have you had this role as the general manager?
I have been doing that since 2006. I undertook the role of the general manager of the Athens Marathon in 2006, and I'm holding the same role since then up to today. So it's almost 14 years doing that. And then besides the Athens Marathon, I added to my role I'm the general manager of marketing of the Athletics Federation of Greece, plus we put up more events like the Athens Half Marathon and a series of running events around Greece in peripheral cities under the name Run Greece. So it's all the events of the Federation in terms of marketing and in terms of organization, 9 running events per year.
A few years ago you added the Authentic to the name. When was this, and how important is that for your brand?
It was in 2014, and that was actually one of the steps towards our strategy to reveal and promote our unique selling proposition in the world. The Athens Marathon has the unique privilege to be the only one around the world to be organized along the authentic, the original course of the marathon. The first ever marathon took place in 1896 on the occasion of the first modern Olympic Games here in Athens. On the occasion of these games, Michel Briard, Bierte Coubertin, Dimitris Vikeras, the Greek, they thought to establish an event in athletics that to honor the contribution of the Greeks to the Olympic history or to the history and culture in general. So they established by that time, based on a legend, the marathon that was like after the Battle of Marathon, a soldier, runner, messenger ran from Marathon to Athens to bring the good news that the Greeks defeated the Persians, and then because he was exhausted, the soldier died. In order to honor this event that actually it's representing how the Greeks stopped the invasion of Asians to Europe, they established the marathon. So actually, for us, our marathon, amongst more than 1,000 marathons around the world, major marathons, we have a unique privilege and a unique position that we are the original marathon, the authentic marathon. So we should promote that. We should make it our strategy to do that. So we started doing stuff in order to reveal this strategy and promote this strategy. We started having the opening ceremony of the Athens Marathon inside the archaeological site of the Marathon tomb in Marathon, where the Athenians that they got killed by that time are buried. So we said, okay, everything it started here in Marathon, so let's have the opening ceremony here, so to remind people where the sport has its roots. And then we celebrated the 2,500 years since the Battle of Marathon in 2010, and it was a huge celebration. So once more, we had the chance to tell to the people that we're here. We are the birthplace of the marathon sport and the Olympic Games. And then in 2012, we invited the International Association of Marathons, AIMS is called, to come to Athens. We offered to them offices to have their headquarters here. So that was another move to say that the International Association of Marathons has its base, its headquarters in the city and in the country that gave birth to the marathon sport. And so all these steps almost concluded by changing the name of our marathon from Athens Classic Marathon to Athens Marathon the Authentic, because we wanted this unique selling proposition we had to the world that were the authentic marathon to be part of our title. Because every marathon in the world that runs 42 kilometers, 195 meters, is actually a marathon could be called classic, because classic now is the same like 42, 195. So we thought that doesn't differentiate us. So we put the authentic as a part of the title, and that's what we did in 2014. And later on, we had more moves to present our unique position by establishing in 2018 the authentic marathon hymn, written by Greek famous composer, and we played that and presented that in the Panathinaikos Stadium. And then the last move we did is like last year we presented the first medal of a series of 8 medals that they're going to be produced by Athens Marathon from 2019 until 2026. And in these medals every year, in one side of the medal, we'll present the history of the World Marathon.
With these new marketing initiatives, with both the new medals and also the new name, the Athens Marathon, the Authentic, have you seen an increase in participation after these marketing initiatives?
Of course. The increase of participation in the Athens Marathon is huge. Since in 2005, the year before the team that currently is leading the marathon undertakes the responsibility, in 2005 we had 4,300 participants in all races of the Athens Marathon. Last year we had 60,000 participants. So it's a huge increase of participation in the last 14 years that we feel it's part of a number of strategies that we applied, but the major one is to promote to the world the uniqueness of this marathon. So yes, we had a huge increase of participation. In marathon race itself, we had in the marathon race out of the 4,300, as I told you, like 3,000 were in marathon. Now, last year in marathon, we had 20,000 people. But overall, in all races, 5K, 10K, kids races, a race for the Special Olympics, we had more than 60,000. So it's a huge increase of participation.
I recently read that you will organize this year's marathon as a mass event, and it might be the only marathon in the world that takes place this year due to COVID-19. How were you able to make this happen, and how will you and your team deal with the increased difficulty that comes with organizing this event?
Yes, that's true. Our country did very well in dealing with the pandemic the last 5 months. And that's world known that Greece has done a good job in dealing with the pandemic. And the people restrained themselves, and in general, we gave the impression that we have managed to restrain as much as we can the spread of the pandemic in Greece. As a result of that, we open up our tourism in July 1st. So now most of the people from most of the countries, they can come to Greece to spend their vacation time. Following this policy and following this mood, we wanted to restart to go back to the regularity. So we thought that if we manage to organize a marathon in this year, in a very strange year, while all other marathons around the world are being cancelled, that will give the impression that our country keeps doing well in dealing with the pandemic. Plus, we felt we had an obligation as a country that we gave birth to the marathon in 1896, let's say somehow to give birth to the restart of the marathon again in 2020. So we took this major decision to organize the marathon. We're going to have 30,000 participants. Look, at this moment we are working for that, we are planning that, and we are almost close to complete the registration for this event. We don't know what's going to happen the next 2 months with maybe a second wave of the pandemic. But for the moment, we are having registered almost 30,000 people for this event, and we are taking all the measures to organize it with all new health protocols that the government has imposed on us how to organize that. It's going to be a very different marathon. In the past, we put all the participants per race in the start line and behind almost 500 meters, 600 meters. And we're giving the start with a gun and people were leaving all together to go. This is not going to happen this time. This time we're going to have more than 3,000 starts. Because every time we'll give a start for only 8 to 9 people. So just imagine 30,000 people to pass the start line in teams of 8 or 9 people. So we're going to have a start every 4 seconds for 9 people. So we try to do that. We have organized all the logistics in order to make sure that people are not congested and are not all together. So yes, this is what we're going to do, and we're we feel the responsibility that we have to do it right for our people in Greece and for giving a model or an example to the people around the world, maybe how to restart organizing mass events.
And a little bit about you. You have a large educational background, both from Greece and in the US.
Yes, I'm a physical educator. I did the physical education department here in Greece, in Athens, from 1980 to 84. Then in 1988, I went to the United States and I did my master's in Springfield College, Massachusetts, in sport management, and all my work was about how to organize the Olympic Games. I followed still in the United States, in the Ohio State University. I did my doctorate degree, focusing on sports marketing, and my thesis and my publications were on sports sponsorship. I came back to Greece in 93 and I got involved with a number of sports, offering services of sport management, sport marketing, sport sponsorship, and how to develop sport organizations, sport events, sport clubs. And I was very lucky to become the general manager of sports in 2000 of the Athens 2004 Olympic Games. That was the peak of my career. And I can say today I'm even luckier than that, because after the Olympic Games I chose to get involved with the Athens Marathon in developing running in Greece. And as I told you, the last 14 years we have done very well in this area, especially considering that we did all this stuff while Greece was in the middle of a huge economic crisis and today in a huge health crisis.
It must have been a dream come true for a Greek person as yourself to work for the Olympics and have such an important role as you had there.
Yes, it was a great honor. And actually, for me, it was like a dream that coming true in a way that you organize, the Olympic Games could be organized in your country once in 100 years or 200 years. And for me, having a dream to be involved with the Olympic Games, I went to the United States to pursue studies in sport management, sport marketing, in order to prepare myself for the Olympic Games. And at the end, having the chance to work for the Olympic Games as the head of the sports of the Olympic Games, it was like, yes, a dream coming true, and I was very honored to do that. And that defined myself and my career.
You have also won a silver order from the International Olympic Committee. What is that exactly?
This is a great honor. This is actually that the International Olympic Committee is having the gold wreath and the silver wreath that is giving to people that they have done an excellent job to promote the Olympic world. So actually I got this one because after the completion of the Athens 2004 Olympic Games, that they were declared as a very successful and dream games by the then president of the International Olympic Committee, Jack Rogge. And so after the end of the Olympics, the International Olympic Committee thought that the leading team of the Athens Games deserved to get this silver order because we have done our best in a very small country to promote the Olympic Games and to promote the product, let's say, and its future development. So yes, it's a great honor. It's something that, along your life, sometimes you have these awards that motivate you to move on.
Talking about education, how important would you say that education is for someone who wants to work in sports management?
Oh, it's very important. I mean, you cannot make up things from your mind. You have to listen to the experts. You have to listen to the professors. You have to study and get in depth in all these areas that in order to do management. Of course, it entails leadership, talent, but talent is not enough if you don't work on that. So you need knowledge as well. You need models to follow. So during my studies in the United States, I had a chance to go in depth in all areas of management, of marketing, consumer behavior, sports psychology, sports sociology, sports history, research, how to do research, operational issues, and all this stuff that you do during your studies in terms of courses. You listen to the professors, you get all this knowledge from the other classmates, you listen to all these examples, and at the end, you try to adjust all this to wherever you want to go back or you want to do in your life. So for me, it was like a huge chance to study, especially in the country so much progress like the United States in the area of sport management. And actually, I'm very lucky because in Greece, I'm most probably one of the first two persons that they have studied and working in sports marketing with such a scientific background. So it's been a long time, but it was very innovative by that time to study sport management. There was nothing like that. And it turned out to be that to make me an innovator, to help me a lot, and especially to realize my dream to work for the Olympic Games.
Would you say that Greece has sufficient educational opportunities for someone who aspires for a sports management career?
Look, nowadays, the whole thing has changed. You can do that in Greece. There are a couple of departments in the universities that they offer this kind of courses and degrees, master's or doctorate degrees. Nowadays, it's easier to do your stuff wherever you are in the world, because nowadays you have like the internet. You have all the knowledge in your hands. You can reach a lot of databases. So along you can reach professors, and the pandemic showed us that you can do even courses from away. You can even give exams from away. So yes, I can say that even staying in Greece today, you can study sport management, sport marketing using either the local departments or the foreign universities that they operate in Greece and offer such courses or such diplomas, or even when you go to the postgraduate studies, actually. It's all up to you. If you want to study and if you want to research, if you want to learn, you do like you do today. You're here. I mean, we're talking about our common interest, sport management. And so nowadays, it's easy to study anything from your country. It's nice to travel. It's nice to have a chance to go work in more different cultures, in more progressed countries, to go to work for a football team in the United States or a soccer team in England, or a major multi-sport event in Tokyo or in Paris or wherever, and then that will give you even more experience. But studying, yes, you can study from wherever you like today because all the knowledge of the world is available even in your mobile phone. So it's a different world.
There are so many educational programs today. Would you advise someone that wants to work in sports management to study sports management, or maybe to study marketing, or to do a double major, for example?
That's a good question, and that's actually a good dilemma for everyone. I'm saying that because I did management in sports and marketing coming from a physical education background. So when I went to the United States, in the universities I spent a lot of time in the business schools doing courses as well in order to combine sports and management, sports and marketing. But you can do it the other way around. You can come from business background, finishing an MBA or a business school or a marketing department or whatever, and then you go to the physical education and health department and take all the knowledge from the sports side in order to combine your business background with a sport background. So you can do sport management from both sides, either coming from sports, spending a lot of time to get to know business mentality, or coming from business and get to know the sport. But you need to combine both of them, and most of all, you need to love what you do. And if you've managed to get to this science first, or to this market secondly, it's a fantastic market because it gives you all the kinds of experiences, working in the office, doing planning, doing operations, working outside there, being part of the events, working with the big teams, being outgoing, and at the same time being a loner. You can do anything you like. It's a fantastic world to work with.
I can see here now when we have been talking that you have a very big passion for sports management. Is this something that you have always wanted to do, or did you have other aspirations when you were younger?
Not really. I've changed on the way because what I tell young people is you need to see why you're growing up. What is the areas that you like mostly? What fits better to your personality? So it's not easy to choose something when you are 14, 15 years old because you really don't know yet the market. You don't know yourself. You don't know how the working environments are working. So for me, I realized since I got into the university here in Athens that I did have a leadership talent. I did have a communication talent. But then I started working with people. So that showed me that originally I wanted to become a physical education teacher. But then I realized that my leadership talent and communication talent could give me more chances to be more active and more business-wise. So I developed this on the way, and I realized that yes, doing something so innovative like sport management that will give me a competitive advantage in my country. And yes, that happened, especially when we had the Olympic Games here, and it happened to me to become the general manager of sports for the Olympic Games. Wow, it's very unique. I'm very happy for this.
Except for education, what is your best advice for someone who wants to work in sports management?
Actually, spend a lot of time in whatever you want to do. Get to know the people. Get to know the market. Do all kinds of work in all levels, because in order to lead people, you need to understand how each one of the activities that you have people working for you, what it takes to do it. So don't be afraid to get involved in the direction you have chosen with anything, from very minor, making copies, or getting on a pole to hang a banner or whatever. Do whatever in the same direction, because that will help you on the way to realize how you can lead people to do it better, or how you can create a better environment. So get involved, get to know people. It's not only what you study in the books. You have to be multi-talented. For example, you need to develop your language abilities. It's not enough to study. Nowadays, we live in an international world, international market. So the more the languages you know, the better you develop. You need to know how to handle the technologies. Nowadays, everything is like applications. So if you are not technology literate, how you're going to survive? How you're going to be able to absorb all this knowledge, and how to compose it to produce a project. So don't spend your time only on one thing. Do a lot of different things that all together will make the puzzle of your life sometime. And don't be in a hurry. Just take your time, day to day, building your puzzle, and that will be put all together and give you the joy you're looking for, the money you need in order to have a decent life, and the personality to be useful to your family, to your friends, and to the society in general.
So something that I noticed when I was doing my sports management degree was that there were very few women in my program. Why do you think that is? And do you think that this is something that will change in a few years or so?
I don't think there is any other explanation, but the general explanation is that we're still living in a male-dominant society. In many businesses, in politics, in sports, in all this, you see in most of the clubs, men are more involved than women. Although this is increasing very rapidly lately, still we are just living in a male-dominant society. That has to change, and that's going to take a lot of time. I had a lot of ladies in my class when I was studying that. I was impressed by that time. It was like 30 years ago. And nowadays you can see even in the International Olympic Committee, you have almost the same number of women like men, which means that things are getting better. There are a number of countries that set, let's say, regulations, set standards, how many ladies should be involved in leadership, in administration jobs. Not always the best way to do it, but it's a motive, let's say. So I don't think there is a specific reason. Sports always were male dominant in most of the sports, but this is changing, and we can see lately more and more women being involved. And if we all try, like you are sensitive enough to put the question to me, that we will have sometime this perfect equality even in sports and in all the leadership jobs of our business world.
Do you read a lot?
Yes, I read a lot, but I know what you mean. You mean if I read books? So no, I don't. Fortunately, I will say I don't read that many books because I have so much reading to do in my daily life. I'm working 16 to 18 hours per day, and I have really to read so much stuff. From proposals, from the internet, articles from our world, ideas from friends and colleagues from around the world. Really, I'm reading a lot, but not really, I'm not a big reader of books, let's say, like that. I wish I had more time to do it because they are exceptional personalities in all areas. They try to put down their experiences in written, and when you read that, you feel you become wiser. So I try to find a little bit time to read, but honestly, I'm not a big reader of books because I don't really have the time to do that.
If you work 16 to 18 hours per day, I think that makes sense.
Yes, and I feel like I'm reading every day more than 500 pages from various stuff, articles, if that is reading, papers, proposals by colleagues, ideas. Nowadays, you go through in the internet world, and you have so much stuff to read, LinkedIn and everything. So reading is a huge part of my life, but not the one you're talking. Just to sit down in my couch and take a book and read it like that. I don't really have time. Only during my vacation, I do some reading. The last one I've read was like from this Japanese runner and author, Murakami, that he's talking about why he's running in marathons and why he's running in his life, and how that is combined with his writing job or his life. So it was very inspiring for me how this guy was doing. Yes, Murakami, Japanese author, it was excellent. And in general, I've done a lot of reading of this kind of books during my studies, especially in the United States and when I came back. But the last 10 years, this is being left back.
Have you had a mentor or someone that you looked up to in your professional career?
Look, I would say that I met him actually sometime. I was very honored. Because I was studying and preparing myself about the organization of the Olympic Games, it was very inspiring to see how Peter Uberov, the American and chairman of the Olympics, Los Angeles 1984 Olympics, has done the job to be able to revive or make the Olympic Games to survive. I remind you that in 1976, in Montreal, the Olympic Games, had a deficit of $1 billion. And then in 1980, in Moscow, we had the boycottage of the Games. Nobody knows about the financial aspects. So everybody was worried about the future of the Olympic Games. And then that happened in 1984 in Los Angeles. Peter Uberov presented a new model how to organize the Games, especially how to do the marketing about the Olympic Games. with a very few sponsors getting a lot of money and having them connected with the organization. That was a big inspiration by that time, and I'm still thinking about it, how he has changed and he has made the Olympics to survive. And I had a chance to meet him in person after I was reading all the stuff for him when I was involved with a New York bid for the Olympic Games, unsuccessful, but by that time Peter Huber was involved as well. So I had a chance to work for a couple of weeks with him. It was like, wow, great honor as well.
If you could choose my next guest on this podcast, who do you think that I should interview?
There are key personalities. Paco Borao, the president of AIMS, the National Association of Marathons. Also, he's great, the director of the Chicago Marathon, Michael Nisi. He's great. I mean, his philosophy and the way he's doing stuff. Now, in terms of sport management, first one who's written a book about sport administration was Pakianathan Cheladurai. He was my advisor in the United States. He's considered the guru of sport management internationally. He's the first one ever to write, and still the best book in the world for sport administration and sport management in his book. He used to teach in various universities in the United States. He was in the Ohio State, and I was very glad to have him as my advisor. And now he lives in Canada.
Finally, is it something that I haven't asked you that you would like to mention? It could be about you, your career, or the marathon, for example.
Yeah, well, about my career. It's not about my career, it's about an example how things can turn up in your life. Like during my high school years, actually from 10 years old until 22 years old, I got involved with sports. Different sports, basketball, soccer, volleyball, gymnastics. I was not the best in any of them to make a career, but I was involved with them in an amateur level. And at the same time, I was involved with a music band, a theater group, a dancing team, and politics. I feel that all of them together helped me a lot when I got to this business. Organizing the Olympic Games or like a mass event like Athens Marathon, all this together gave me enough background to be able to lead different teams and put together events with many different faces. So don't be afraid to be involved with different things that later on, as I said before, all together, it could help you build the puzzle of your life in a successful way.
Thank you so much for being on the Sports Management Podcast. It's been very interesting, and I wish you all the best for the marathon event now in November.
Thank you very much for choosing me to be part of your project, and I wish you all the best in your sport management career and in this particular project. Take care.
Thank you for listening to Sports Management Podcast. Do you have thoughts or ideas about this podcast, or do you know someone that I should interview next? Please reach out to me on sportsmpodcast@gmail.com or visit my website sportsmanagementpodcast.com. If you prefer social media, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram @sportsmpodcast.